Welcome to the Roads We Traveled podcast, episode 10. My name is AJ Pelletier. How is everyone doing today? I got a great episode for you guys today. I've got one of my longtime friends. I've known him since I was a teenager. We have a strong group of friends that we all hang out with. We've done a lot of embarrassing backyard wrestling tapes back in the day, and have done embarrassing videotapes as kids that I wish I still had, but have been lost throughout throughout time. They're ruined now for some reason. Probably my fault. But my guest today is my longtime friend, Mr. Kevin Jones. Kevin, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, man. Just staying home, drinking at home, playing video games, working from home. It's all that, from home stuff. So that's kind of where we're at right now, right?
Yep. Yep, definitely. So is that all you're doing during quarantine, or are you still working right now?
I am working. I work for a bank, so I'm able to do my day job.
Mm-hmm.
On top of doing my day job, I'm hyper focused on just writing, as you know, comedy stuff, whatever I can. I'm in the middle of writing a TV show, and some other just any endeavor that pops in my head. I'm just scrawling stuff down until I can get to my computer, and I'm typing stuff out. So yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, I forgot to mention in the intro that you are a stand-up comedian, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. But that's very cool, man, that you're using this time wisely, and you're improving your act, and you're writing a TV show. That's really cool. You gonna pitch that, or is it just something that?
Not right now. It's just, there's not really much that I'm working on in regard to, I just want to get the script down for a first season. I want to, I'm working with a friend to do the pilot. Once we get the pilot down, then I want to bust out the whole first season, and then I'm going to start pitching it. I'm lucky enough. I don't want to blow up the spot, but the friend that I'm talking about is actually a published writer, rather. And he's the one that's kind of I hit him up, and he was like, love the idea. And he's also from Waterbury. So the moment I told him what it was about, it's about a local bar. So the moment I told him about it, he was 100% invested. So I'm super excited to work on that with him. But when it comes to that, I kind of want to put that in the box and wait until we kind of gain some traction on that. But yeah, man, just trying to stay busy. I think we all are.
Yeah. So you're out of work right now, or did you go back to work finally?
I'm lucky enough that I was dealing with some medical stuff, so I was out for about a month. I started again this last week. It was my first week back, so I am back to work, and it's been interesting. I can work from home. I don't like working from home, but it's better than not having a job in this climate.
You know what? I heard something recently too, that with everybody that's been out of work for so long, buildings that haven't been maintained because they've been closed. I forget the type of disease that you can get, but it's from stale water in the plumbing, because it's been sitting so long that if you breathe it in, it could cause an infection or cause another virus. So I'm like, great, we got coronavirus to worry about, and now people going back to work. If those toilets haven't been flushed in months, they breathe fucking nasty stale water in the air or whatever. They catch this other thing. I forget what it's called, but it's just can't win this year.
No, man. No.
This year,
I'm honestly at this point, I'm
crazy.
I'm waiting for X-Men's Apocalypse to show up at this point. It's been so wild this year. Everything that's happening. I've seen so many memes of Unicron from Transformers to aliens. Oh, we're up next. Or I'm kind of nervous. Everything is so messed up right now that I think we're just waiting for kind of a bit of, relief.
I think my favorite meme so far is what's his name from Ant-Man, the dude that talks too much. That's his buddy. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah. Oh, so what's 2020 been like? And he just lists everything that's been going on. And then the final line is, well, we got $1,200 checks. So I mean, and then.
Yeah, man, that's how it feels at this point. Yeah, 100%.
So we've known each other for a long time. We've known each other since, I'm a little bit younger than you, I think. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we were all in high school and stuff, but we went to different schools and everything. And we met through a mutual friend, Christian. Rest in peace, Christian. Childhood friend of ours who passed away. Oh, what's it been now? I'm looking at my arm. It's been
it was 2011.
12 years now.
Yeah, 21 years. Yeah. Well, yeah. He was 21 years old when he died, is what I meant to say. But
yeah. So yeah, he was a Marine and passed away in his first tour in Iraq. But I grew up with him and we went to school together and everything. But he went to Wilby and knew all you guys and everything, and that's how we got acquainted and everything. And
Mhm.
we used to piss his mother and his father off with all their backyard wrestling videos
Yeah.
back in the day. Those are some fun times, though.
Yeah, I actually just helped them move the other day, not too long ago. Like it was about a week or two ago.
I heard
So
they got a new.
yeah,
Where are they staying now?
they're in Southington at this really nice house, beautiful backyard. They got like a creek with a bridge. I was
Oh,
like,
nice.
ah. I was like, oh, we fancy, huh? Like they've got a really nice setup. Yeah.
Very cool. Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Cotner. Sending you guys some love. Hope you guys are doing well, and congrats on the new place. But but that's how we met, and we got a whole crew of friends that we all hang out with. Shout out to Jay, John, Sharky, Jose, Super, and all those guys. Like if I'm missing anybody, I'm sorry, but I'm really tired right now. So
For you, man. Like I said, I was late, so my apologies.
no, it's all good. It's all good. But yeah, what was growing up like? Like I know we've talked a little bit here and there about like some stories about you growing up and everything, but I mean like for my listeners and my viewers, what was growing up like for you?
Growing up is weird. So a lot of people don't know where this country is. My mother's family's from a small island off the west coast of Africa called Cabo Verde, Cape Verde. And growing up was very weird for me because I guess like growing up and already being black was one thing, and then being this type of African that doesn't identify as black was another, when we should identify as black because obviously I'm 100% black. So growing up was like really weird because I always had this when I was really young, I had this sense of like I had this lack of identity. And then as years progressed and I met friends and I understood like that Cape Verdean was black, then I had a sense of identity. And then I met my friends, you, Jay, everyone that you just spoke about, and they were able to help me like kind of find comfort and acceptance within myself. I'm sitting here, for those who can't see it, I'm in a Skeletor t-shirt.
Hell yeah.
I'm a geek. I'm a geek. I've been a geek since I was a kid. And for me, like being a black geek was hard because, black people don't read comic books. Like, what's wrong with you? And then I had my dad telling me, yeah, we do. Because when me and your uncle grew up in the projects, it was the cheapest form of entertainment. Your grandmother would give us $5 and we would go down to the comic store and we'd be able to pick up 4 or 5 comic books depending on like the tax. So growing up, it was really hard to figure out who I was specifically, but my friends, you included, helped me understand the idea that I'm an individual. I'm a black individual, and there's nothing wrong with being those things. There's nothing wrong with being a black guy that listens to hip hop and then turns around and is like, oh, that new Korn album dropped? Oh, throw that out real quick. Like, it was never a big deal for me to listen to that stuff and like for me to be able to accept the fact that I enjoyed rock. As my favorite band is Static X.
Yep.
I love Static X.
How do you feel about the comeback?
I don't know, man. I haven't checked out the front man yet, and I miss Wayne, yo.
He honors Wayne though. Like he's wearing like this weird mask and he wears his hair up just like Wayne did.
Yeah, I gotta really like dig into it. I've listened to, they dropped a song a few months ago, and I saw that, but I really want to dig into it first because Wayne was Wayne. I don't know if you know this. I don't think I ever told you this. The first time I heard Static X, so I draw a lot, and when I was a kid, it was 12 years old. And I was sitting in my bedroom and I was just drawing. And at the time, I don't know if you guys remember, MTV would just, after a certain hour, probably like 2-3 o'clock, they would just play music videos, right? So
MTV playing music videos? Wow.
Yeah, right. I just dated us. This is how old we are. So they would play music videos really late at night. And I remember sitting there just drawing. I don't even remember what I was drawing. I was drawing I used to like write and create my own superheroes when I was a kid. So I was like drawing something, probably some like Greek god-based superhero. And I just hear Push It come on. And I'm sitting there drawing. I'm like, and I just turn in my seat and I'm staring at the TV and I'm watching this stop motion video of this little man made out of wire. And I'm like, this is amazing. I love this song. I love this. I love everything that's happening right now. And that was the first time that I fell in love with metal. Like, and I thought, you know, am I allowed to like metal? And I spoke to my aunt later, and I was like, I really like metal. And she was like, we also have a cousin that had a phase where she liked metal, but she was like, you can like what you want to like. And it was just so relieving between my aunt and my mother supporting the idea that I listen to metal. My mom never complained about my music being too loud, so I was always able to like just throw on like Static X, Slipknot, Korn, Limp Bizkit. I get it, but whatever I want to listen to, man, and I loved it. I love to be able to do that. So growing up for me was really weird because I had all of these combating concepts and, you know, ideologies that I was just trying to like work through. You know, I was black before I was anything else, but I was also a nerd. I was a metalhead. I was, you know, from a culture that wasn't, I speak two languages, and it was always difficult. But I will say this, and I tell this to any kid that listens to, like, any kid that I talk to today, it might suck, but it gets better because you will find people that will accept you and love you for who you are and allow you to flourish and grow within your own place and be the person you want to be. Exactly. I was a black kid that liked metal, and I met a bunch of people, even a couple other black kids that like metal, and I was able to learn to love myself. So growing up in the area and the era that I grew up in, I would never change any of it because you and all of my other friends helped me to learn to accept myself. And I'm 33 years old, I'm about to be 34 in 2 weeks, and
happy early birthday, brother.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Much appreciated. But
I wish I could say me getting into metal was just as badass as your story was, but I had to tell my mother who the Dave Matthews Band was in order for me to buy the album. And then from there, it was Creed and Three Doors Down, and then it progressively got heavier from there. But for you to just be like, yo, Static X, that's my jam right there. Hell yeah, I'm going to start listening to metal. I'm like, fuck, man, Kevin's got a more badass story than me. Nothing against Dave Matthews or Creed or anything. I'm like, I still enjoy it, but my taste got way heavier after that. But anyway, so yeah, that was you were talking about you know, growing up, you know, listening to metal and stuff like that too. Did you ever get berated or bullied a lot from anybody else? I mean, like, you know, coming, you know, you were accepted in our group, obviously, and you know, we're, you know, I accepted you fully. I still think of you as like one of my closest best friends and everything, and I could talk to you about anything. But I mean, did you ever get a lot of crap growing up, like listening to rock and you know, pop culture stuff like comic books and stuff like that? I know you touched on it a little bit, but I mean, like, did you ever get braided a lot? Like, do you, I know we've talked off air too, that you also suffer from depression. Did that also, affect it at all too? Did it, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I
know where you're coming from. You're asking.
I'm asking a ton of questions and I'm trying to figure out the right way to say it. And
makes sense.
Today is my only day off. So
no, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. I apologize. This is, yeah.
No need to apologize. I get it. I get the question.
I'm usually better at asking these questions.
So what you're asking is, and I know that like right now with our current climate as a white dude, you're trying to say, did you get made fun of for being a black kid that listened to metal?
Well,
to some extent. I know that's part of the question.
Yeah.
And there's
but I mean, like, this podcast also focuses on mental health and mental illness too.
Yes.
So, you know what I mean? Like, I suffer from depression too.
So I'll explain. I'm a long-winded person, so if you got to interrupt me, that's fine. But I'll explain wholeheartedly. So yes, and later on, no. So it works in the sense of being the black kid that listens to metal means that when other black kids realize that you listen to metal, they're going to tell you that you're not black. And the problem with that is it strips you of your identity as a black man.
Yeah.
It strips you of your sense of like community and like home, you know, because just because you're a black kid that likes metal doesn't mean that you want to be white. It just means you have a taste that might not align with, you know, a lot of your green screen drop, by the way.
Oh shit.
I can wait before I can.
That's all good.
All right. It just means that a lot of your tastes or some of your tastes might not align completely with a lot of what your friends do. So for years, there was a bit of depression that kind of was tacked on because of that. And like, again, being depressed it starts young. You know, I have a lot of other issues. I see a therapist and we talk about it, and I have issues on top of issues. But this portion did not help. Like, you know, not being able to feel like a part of the Black community didn't help what I was feeling. But metal helped with my depression because, you know, the idea of aggressive anger, you know, music full of anger and rage, and like where you're punching and you're like, you know, like you're in the middle of a mosh pit, even when you're in your own room and you're just like punch dancing by yourself and, you know, accidentally break some stuff in your room and your mother's like, what was that sound? And you're like, oh, I don't know. Some stuff fell. I don't know. So a lot of that kind of helps you, like, you know, it helps you, but it also, as a Black man, it hurts you because people are upset that you know, that you're not just falling within the status quo. And, but then there were two things that happened. I wish I would have gotten to this band a little bit more because of their front man, but I remember seeing Lejean from Seven Dust.
Oh, they're fucking amazing, dude.
And I wish I would have got more into them, but I remember seeing him and realizing that I wasn't wrong, that I wasn't alone, that it's not something that's, you know, terrible. And I was like, all right, you know, I can kind of like rock music. And then I remember years later, the Family Values tour came out, and Busta Rhymes talked about how much he liked rock and how much he listened to Korn and a lot of the other artists that were on the tour. And all of that made me realize I'm not wrong. It's not wrong for me to like rock music. And then I met a gentleman, I'm not going to say his name. He was a teacher who, by the end of it, me and his relationship wasn't great, but in the beginning, he taught me something that I thought was amazing. He taught me about, like, Chuck Berry. He taught me about, you know, other artists that helped to create rock music that were Black. And he explained rock is Black. It's just, you know, the deviations of it might not be, you know, the different, like, categories of it might not be the same, but rock is Black. And you don't have to sit here and run from rock because, you know, you enjoy it. Like, you don't have to act like, you know, it's wrong for you as a Black man to like rock. You can enjoy it. You can love it. It's just,
it's evolved from previous generations of classic, you know, rock artists and jazz artists and stuff like that. It's just evolved into, you know, what it is today, and it's still evolving. There's tons of different styles of rock out there right now, you know. So I can't think of a name right now because I'm spacing. I'm sorry.
Howard Jones.
Dude, Howard Jones is fucking amazing. Just briefly on Lejean, by the way, Lejean is like the most humble human being I've ever met. This is before I got to open for them. My old drummer and I got to hang out with them when they played the Webster for their acoustic tour when they dropped that acoustic album. And we told him that we were in this band and everything. He was like, "You got a CD for me?" And I'm like, I got one right here. And then, like, looking back on them, like, fuck, man, I really wish I didn't give him that CD because I hate the way it sounds. So, but just for him to, like, ask me for it and everything and just say, hey, man, you know, it's really cool that you're a singer, and, like, give me some advice and everything. I was like, dude, you're the fucking man, dude. Like, and thank you for, I'm really mad that the photo that we took together came out like shit, but, like, but he was the nicest guy, and their bass player was super hilarious too. Like, my drummer was like, "Oh, we just got your latest album," and he was like, "Yeah, it makes a great coaster, doesn't it?" And I'm like, "What the fuck?" They're just a bunch of nice guys. But Lejean is definitely very nice and humble, and, you know, he's definitely one of my favorite vocalists. Howard definitely too. So just touching on what you're talking about. So anyway, did I interrupt you on something?
No, not at all. I was just, you know, you asked, you know, and I think it's a really weird topic because I think with and no offense, like, I'm not trying to say it might come off offensively, but with white kids, it's a different topic than with Black kids, because white kids are expected to listen to rock music. Like, you guys are, to some extent, supposed to listen to rock and metal, and then for us, you know, we're ostracizing ourselves when we listen to rock music as Black kids. We're ostracizing ourselves from our families, from our schools, from our communities. I've even had, like, white kids tell me, like, "Oh, you're the white Black guy," and it's like, I don't.
Yeah, no, that's fucked up.
And I don't like that. I've never liked that because I don't think that my Blackness fits in a box, you know. And it sucks because And you know me, I don't push anyone away. Like if you want to have a discussion or whatever, I love you and I want to talk and I want to figure it out. So that was always kind of weird for me, like growing up, was whenever somebody called me the white black kid. I hated that. So
Yeah, I hear you, man. Like that's not right. I mean, like I'll tell my audience right now, like I love a lot of old school hip hop too. You know what I mean? Like I especially loved hip hop that was meaningful and talked about like granted I don't know what it was like growing up in the hood or anything like that, but like artists like Tupac or BIG and stuff like that, like actually talking about like problems going on in their communities or like things that they would see, or like NWA dealing with the police, and racism and stuff like that. I was like, that's meaningful. That's speaking about like shit that's actually going on in the world, and it's not all about like cash money and fucking mad bitches. You know what I mean? Like it's just my taste. Like that's that. I look for meaningful and hopeful kind of music. It doesn't matter what style of music it is. It could be rock, it could be rap, whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's just me. So, but so you also suffer. We've talked off air. You also suffer from some depression too. Like what's that like for you? Like when that happens? I know you said you're seeing a therapist. How long have you been seeing your therapist for?
well, this stint has been about a month. Just because I was having some issues dealing with working from home. My brain wasn't differentiating between the idea of being at home and being at work. It just kind of lumped them both together. So I was waking up from nightmares with my heart racing in the middle of a panic attack. So, I actually, I snapped and I quit my job. I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. Like, I'm done. And then
Was
managed
this
to
a
like,
dream or was it in real
no,
life?
no. Like I had woken up one day and I was trying to log in. I was having a bunch of other issues. And with everything else, I was just like, I don't want to do this. So I called my job and I went to go quit. And they said, hey, why don't you call your insurance company and see if they'll help you out. So they gave me a month off. So I was off for a month and I just started again. I just started back up this week. And it's a little bit better. I'm still trying to get my head in the game properly. Like still trying to, customer service is not, for those of you who don't know, customer service is not easy because
it sucks.
yeah, the moment that you get upset or the moment a customer gets upset, the way it boils down is no matter who gets upset or who says the wrong thing first or who says like, you have to be better no matter what. I have to be the one who's like, well, I'm sorry. I have to be the one who's, and for a couple calls, I wasn't that guy. Like I just wasn't.
It's also It's also being recorded too, right?
Yeah. So I had to sit down with my manager, a phone call with my manager a couple of times this week because he was like, you're usually really good at this. And right now, like you're not having a good time. But so I was out for a while, but my depression is really.
Was it because of the quarantine and working from home that's triggering all this stuff?
Not necessarily. I think it was working. It was not working for a month.
Okay.
It was not working for a month. And then coming into my workspace and being hyper vigilant again and feeling like nobody could talk to me how they want to talk about me and not realizing that I needed to be better. And I messed up. So I did apologize, and I did realize that day that I kind of, the way I attacked those calls was wrong. I know what my job is. I know, how I make my money, and what I was doing was just negative. So I fixed it. I'm doing better again at work. But the thing about my depression is there are a lot of things about depression people don't understand. So I think people hear depression and they just think that you're sad all the time. Like they just think that you're sad and you're down and you're beating yourself up.
That's not the case. It's really not. It comes like I think my buddy Josh said it best too. It's like it comes in waves. You know what I mean? Like you're fine 1 minute, and the next thing you know, like it just crashes down on you out of nowhere, and you're just engulfed by it. Like there are times where, I don't want to get out of bed. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, what the fuck is the point? You know what I mean? And sometimes, like he said, and I agreed that just getting out of bed and taking a shower is a win. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely a win to like take those initiatives and keep moving forward. And it's hard. It's not a laziness thing or anything like that. It's just, getting past that mentality in your brain to say, hey, it's not going to be like this all the time. Just keep moving forward.
And the thing is, it's not just those things, because I think that we lump the idea of it like into that stuff. But you also have to take into account that my depression is type 2. So my depression is I'm usually, and you know me, I'm usually happy. Like I'm usually very elated and I'm usually a lot. Like I'm very happy and I'm laughing and I'm joking and all that stuff. But then I crash. But then also there's another lane where it's not just, happy or sad, but there's also a ton of anger and rage that comes with it. And a lot of people think that you don't, you're either happy or sad. No, like my anger, I'm a grump and a lot of my friends know me as a grump or a grouch. And they're like, why? Like, I don't know why you're always so mad. And I'm like, this is part of my depression. Part of my depression is getting annoyed and getting agitated, and I take it out on anything that's close to me. And usually it's people, usually not my friends, usually people that I don't like. It's usually like a stranger at a bar that gets too close. I'm like, yo, can I help you, man? Like, is this what we're doing right now? And like, that's kind of where I am as a person, whereas, my agitation my depression translates to agitation, and then I take it out on other people. So there's
Is
a lot
it
of,
is it something that has to do with you? Like, are you angry with yourself or your depression or something like that triggers it? Or is it just like it just comes out?
it's just a sensitivity of depression is the way my therapist put it. It's
Okay.
just a natural sensitivity that comes to depression. Like those things that trigger you to be sad, to some of us, they don't trigger us to be sad. They trigger us to be mad. And that's
I
kind of
didn't
where
know
I
that.
am.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
And that's kind of where I am. It's like most of the things either make me super happy or super sad, but there's still this bucket of things that just makes me really angry. People who are in my space, who touch me and stuff like that, because I get so defensive. And I was raised in a very confrontational family. If somebody has a problem with you, they just like they just like they'll bottle it up, and then once they like hit that point, they'll just dump. And it's like, are you serious right now? Like you're just gonna call me out my name? And a lot of us are just like that in my family. So in a lot of ways, it's very positive, very negative, or just very aggressive.
How did you deal with all that?
Um, the thing is, for years, I was the young buck in my family, so I've learned to just kind of be quiet and sit back. I've learned that in when I was young, my opinion didn't matter. Nothing mattered. So when I got in trouble, I would just kind of tuck my tail between my legs and just kind of like not be mad, and then metal. That's one of the reasons I think I like just fell into metal, was just the idea of I could listen to this music that was all the tension, the rage, and the aggression that I had, but it was bottled up into the music, and I could just listen to that and be okay with just listening to that, and being able to like vent that way. So I just learned that, in my family, it's, again, we're an African family, so it's not, kids had no voice to some extent. So we just had to kind of learn.
It's, I'm sorry that you had to grow up with that. You know what I mean? But I respect you as a person, and I like the man that you've grown into and everything. And you're definitely one of my closest friends, and I could talk to you about anything, and you're not afraid to call me out on my shit either, and which I respect the hell out of you for. So
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
yeah, no problem. So when did you fall in love with pop culture? Like, what was the first thing that got you like, oh, I love that? You know what I mean? And then just dove headfirst into the rest of pop culture stuff.
So it's actually a little bit more complex than that, because it should be that simple, right? But it's not.
It's not.
Because nothing with me is that simple. Like nothing is that.
It's like, oh, I love Star Wars. Wait, what's this? Star Trek? What is that? No.
Yeah. It's so, of course, as a kid, I love cartoons.
Mm.
I grew up with my aunt who's only 10 years older than me, and she loved cartoons. So like She-Ra, He-Man, Care Bears, all that stuff, we'd watch it together. But then when it came to comic books, so like I said, I draw. My dad is also an artist, and he is 10 times better than me, to the point where like he drew a comic book of my mother and her best friend, and my aunt took it to school and showed it off, and it was like, this looks like a legit comic book. Like,
That's pretty cool.
yeah, the dude has always been phenomenal, and he kind of got me into it. And part of it was that my dad, all right, so I have to explain this as best as I can. My dad wasn't an absentee father in the way an absentee father is. My dad wasn't ready to have kids. Just wasn't. He shouldn't have had kids, with everything he went through as a young adult, or he's even a young man. Like, he wasn't ready to have kids, but he was searching for love. So over the years, like, he was so so good at it and so good at writing and drawing and all this stuff that when I was a kid, I thought that me getting into comic books would bring us closer together. So I drew, like I would draw all the time. And I thought that like, if I do these things, like he'll love me more. And it's not that he didn't love me. It's that, again, my dad just should not have had children. Like it's not, I don't fault my father for having kids. So like my relationship with my dad and then his older brother, my uncle, was fostered around the idea that like they love this stuff. You know, they loved comic books and cartoons and they could both draw and they were both really good at it. And I wanted to be good. And I kind of like just grew from there. And anything they watched, like if I slept over at my dad's house, my dad is an early bird. So I'd wake up at like 6 in the morning on a Sunday. And this man had been up since 4 just watching cartoons. So like King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, Captain Simi and the Space Monkeys, all those Sunday morning cartoons that were really obscure, my dad was already up watching them. And I'd like, and I would just sit there and watch them with him. And it grew from there. And it grew from so many other things. I know the first thing that I truly fell in love with, that I still to this day love, is Disney's Gargoyles. Disney's Gargoyles is such a well-written concept to the point where they take bits from A Midsummer's Night's Dream, written by William Shakespeare. There's an entire season based on that. And it's like, who would write that? Like, as an adult, I looked into it and it was like, yeah, that was supposed to be like an adult comic book. Like, that wasn't supposed to be for kids. But like, as a kid, like, you were like, oh my God, like, who are these characters? And then you get to high school and they're like, let's learn about Titania and Oberon. And you're like, I already know about them. Like, I know about them with Goliath. Like, Goliath beat them up. Like, so
I've got to rewatch that. It's on Disney Plus right now. It's definitely on my list.
Phenomenal. It's gonna break your heart though, because they get into some of this little furry-esque. Not to say that I don't like furry. Like if being a furry is your thing, I'm not knocking you, but I'm just saying they get to a place where you're like, oh, I see where a lot of kids made this turn. This
is where the show jumped the shark. Okay.
Yeah. But no, it's a really good show, man. Like, and I loved it. But yeah, no, between like Mummy's Alive, Pokemon, like there's
Mummy's Alive. I remember that.
I'm telling you, yeah. There were a lot of things, like there were a lot of shows and stuff like that that really like, so it's not, I can't pinpoint it in any one thing. I can say that a lot of things had a lot of influence on me. Nick Jr., or not Nick Jr., Nickelodeon, Nicktoons specifically, Disney, Fox, ABC, and
Cartoon
even
Network.
sitcoms. Yeah, and even sitcoms. Just like, you know, sitcoms help me with comedy. So,
yeah, you were talking about like how getting into that kind of stuff was your way of getting closer to your dad. I can relate to that in a way because that's why I got into manufacturing, because my father had his own business for a long time when I was growing up. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get into manufacturing and go into business with my father. And then when I was a sophomore in high school and my parents were separating, he closed his doors. And I'm like, why the fuck am I still doing this? You know what I mean? Obviously, it's not going to happen. And things weren't really, you know, we weren't really getting close anyway. You know what I mean? I was just working my ass off for nothing. So I definitely know like how that feels. You know what I mean? So. So yeah, we're talking about pop culture and stuff. Okay, who's your favorite? Who's your favorite out of all the heroes out there? Like, what is your go-to comic book or your comic book hero or cartoon series?
Okay, so
I know this is like
it's complex for me, super complex. So it used to be Star-Lord. Star-Lord.
Really?
Star-Lord's one of my favorites. Initially because of
comic book Star-Lord or Chris Pratt Star-Lord?
Comic book Star-Lord.
Okay.
But then the problem was that Chris Pratt Star-Lord happened, and then they revised comic book Star-Lord.
Yeah.
I loved the idea of Star-Lord and his father being enemies. I loved Jason of Spartax. I loved that entire concept and what he was going through. I loved that, you know, he had his best friend was Nova, Richard Rider, because it was the first human that he had seen in like 20 years. Like everything about the way Star-Lord was written was amazing. And then Chris Pratt hit and James Gunn was like, I'm going to rewrite this.
Dumbass.
And it just ruined it for me. Like it took away so much. So I went back to my childhood favorite superhero, Spider-Man. And I'm back to Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man is one of the So, Spider-Man. Fun fact: I don't know if you guys, people. This is a controversial topic. There's a rumor that Spider-Man was supposed to be Jewish.
It, so what I heard was that was kind of true because Stan Lee, when he originally came up with the concept for Spider-Man, he was supposed to be Jewish because isn't Stan Lee Jewish or was Jewish?
Yes, Stan
Yeah.
Leibowitz.
Yeah.
So
Peter Parker was kind of sort of lightly
Mhm.
based off of Stan Lee in a way. So,
but then like when you look at Peter Parker, he is every minority kid ever. He's this minority, this kid that lives with his aunt and uncle because something happened to his parents. And he lives in Brooklyn, and he's just trying to like survive the day. So like, I'm not saying that it should take away from white people. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that Spider-Man, there's a piece of Spider-Man that every single person on the face, like in America, can relate to.
I think that's what Stan Lee was going for because Stan Lee was very more open about diversity and equality and stuff like that. And his partner, Steve Ditko, was all about,
and Jack Kirby.
And Jack Kirby, fuck the hippies. You know what I mean?
Really quickly, remember that I don't like Stan. We all know I don't like Stan. Stan buried Jack Kirby.
I will agree to that, but I think Stan's vision for equality was.
I'll give him props on that.
Yeah,
but I think Stan took a lot of.
He definitely took a lot of credit where he shouldn't have. Yeah,
exactly.
That's kind
of what irks me about Stan, but I still appreciate what Stan created with everyone else, and being the voice of well, I know you guys might not get it, but I'm kind of a minority, and we should really look at it from the idea of everyone should be accepted, loved, and all that other stuff. But Spider-Man has always been, and Spider-Man has the second best rogues gallery in books.
Next to Batman. Hell yeah.
Second only to Batman. I'm so excited. I really hope that we get Kraven the Hunter in this next movie. If we get Kraven, I will be so stoked. I think Kraven is one of my favorite villains ever.
Who would you cast as Kraven the Hunter?
I have no clue. Honestly,
Jason Momoa?
No, not Jason. Not Jason. He's too young. I can't remember his name. I'm gonna Google it because I know who I'd pick. You got to give me a second.
A lot of thirsty moms just screamed.
Give me a second because I know who it is.
Oh, don't worry. I'll kill time. So if you're unfamiliar with what's going on right now in Spider-Man movies, Tom Holland will be Spider-Man one more time with the rest of the MCU characters in his own solo movie and do another team up, and then that's going to be it. And then Sony is going to take him back, and then he's going to be a part of the Spider-Man Sony universe, which I'm really not holding my breath on. I'm sorry. Venom was
Joe Manganiello. Okay. Right there is Mike Kraven the Hunter, yo. I would love Joe Manganiello as Kraven the Hunter.
You know what? He was in the Spider-Man universe. He was in the Tobey Maguire movies. He played Flash.
I would love him to be.
And he played Deathstroke in the Justice League movie.
Yes, he did play Deathstroke, which
for 5 seconds.
Not a fan, but I would love him to play. But I mean, there are so many other actors.
I could see it.
And then also, I think what Marvel tends to do, aside from Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, and Chris Evans, they tend to take actors that are still getting their footing. They find actors that are still figuring it out. They're still kind of.
Chris Hemsworth was a big reason why Tom Holland got in to begin with because they worked on a project together, and he found out that he was auditioning for Spider-Man. He was like, I'll see what I can do. And then he did a couple auditions with Chris Evans and a couple auditions with Robert, and he pretty much landed the part. I even heard that through an interview with John Bernthal when they did that movie. What the fuck was the name of that movie? Where they were in 14th century Ireland, and John Bernthal was a mute for that movie, and Tom was a young priest or something like that. I don't remember I watched it once and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? But they were both working on their audition tapes for their Marvel, acts or whatever. He was auditioning for Punisher, and him and Tom were like at some park or something, you know, doing the audition tape while one of the other guys was playing a deer or something that John was hunting down or something, and then he helped him audition for Spider-Man. So I was like, this is so weird and so cool at the same time, like hearing like how connected like all these guys are together and like how big they got because of these Marvel franchises. So, but yeah, no, that's I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent on something.
No, you're fine. I needed a moment. You know what? That's fine. It's cool.
So I'm really curious to hear about how you got into stand up, because you've been doing stand up for a little while now. Like, what made you want to get into stand up, and how did you start getting into it?
Oof. So again, complex. When I was a kid, this was my coping mechanism. Humor was my coping mechanism. Whenever I got bullied, whenever some things went sideways, whenever things got weird at school, I would try to make people laugh. I didn't want to, I know that you can't really see it. I got broad shoulders, a thick neck. Like everyone always thinks, oh, Kevin's tough. Kevin is not tough. Like Kevin don't fight. I don't want none of that. What I want to do is I want to make people laugh. And over the years, like I had been so good at making people laugh. And even as a kid, going to this place called the Cape Verdean Social Club, I was able to just make everyone laugh. And I remember being 12 years old and somebody going, you should do stand-up. 11 years old, my art teacher said, you're really funny, you should do stand-up. And for years, people just kept telling me to do stand-up. And then I developed a really big taste for it when I was in my early teens. And my mom worked second shift, but she would always work overtime. So she didn't get home till like 1, 2 in the morning. So I would watch BET Comic View, and I would like examine and study and try to figure out, oh, why is that funny? And that, then I would do like my own little bits by myself, like in my room. And I did this for years. And then the older I got, then we finally got Comedy Central in Connecticut, or in Waterbury, in like probably, I think we're in probably the 7th, 8th grade. And we got Comedy Central, and I started like really watching comedy. And then I wanted to do it. And I got to like my early 20s, but I was still like, got to do the college thing. And I started college. And I kept starting and not finishing college. And it was just this progressive thing that kept happening. And then one day I was like, I'm moving to LA to do comedy. And I moved to LA, and it was terrible. I hated it. And then I came back. And then when I came back is when a bunch of friends were like, hey, I know this open mic, and I know this, I know this open mic, this open mic, this open mic. And then I met people in the industry in Connecticut, and it was like serendipitous, and then so many people got me into it and were like, yo, you got to do this open mic. And I would do the open mic, and I'd be terrible. I remember the first time I did an open mic, the first time I really did it, I did a couple in LA, but nothing really stuck because it was always, I like would get there and I didn't want to do it, or I would get there and I would do it.
Were you just like self-conscious, like, oh, nobody's going to laugh at my jokes or anything like that?
And I would get performance anxiety. Like I would get there and I would do it, and like I would start and I just walk away from it. And I only did it like 3 times in LA. I was in LA for 6 months. I only went to 3 open mics. I only performed at 1, and the other 2 times I would get up to do it and I just couldn't do it. So, it just, I don't know. I had no confidence in that regard. And then I remember going to this bar, what was it? The Thirsty Goat had an open mic night. And shout out to Sharky. Sharky's actually really responsible for this one, because I walked into the bar and I had my set. Somebody called me up and said, we're doing an open mic. We're giving you a 5-minute set. And I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm in. Like, I'm just going to do it. So I got off the phone and I started writing my set in the car on my way to work. And I'm writing my set all day. And I saw this old man driving. He had a bumper sticker that said, my other car is a submarine. And I said, and I thought the joke, excuse me, sir, your other car is a coffin. Now, would you please get in the dirt? And I remember that being hilarious to me. So I just built my whole set around making fun of old people. And I was super stoked. Give me a second here, because this is drooping a bit.
Yeah, I was a little shaky.
Yeah. So I remember like being super stoked about that.
Yeah.
And like I wrote that bit, and I walked into Thirsty Goat, and I walk in, I see Shark, and I'm like, yeah, we about to. And then I look over, and there's like a 90-year-old man sitting next to him. And I'm like, I shouldn't do this, yo. Like, I really should not do this.
You can't apologize for that.
Yeah, he's like,
it's comedy.
You got to do it. You got to do it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I get on stage, and I go to do it, and I walk out, and I grab the mic, and I said that joke. I was like, excuse me, sure. No, I said, my name is Kevin Jones, and I fucking hate old people. And then I just turned and I stared at him. Like hard, like, is he gonna say something? And he didn't move. He didn't like pay attention to me. He was like busy eating a burger. He probably couldn't hear me because he's so old. And I said, yo, can somebody pat him down? Make sure that's not like a cane sword.
Oh my God.
Like a musket. And yo, everyone died. And from that moment on, I have just ripped. Like I get on stage and I do whatever I want. And the only time like I address me not hitting is when I'm like, no, I thought it was funny. Y'all stupid. Like I'll just like mock the crowd for not laughing at my joke.
Bill Burr does a lot of the same shit when like, I don't know if you saw the Philadelphia thing.
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
I got 11 more minutes. Yeah. I saw
he just talks shit the whole fucking time.
I love Bill Burr. Bill Burr is one of my favorite stand-up comedians. But in all seriousness, like that night was the night that I realized I would like to do this. And I'm still pushing and trudging through and trying to figure it out. But that night was the night that woke me up. So I got to shout out Sharky because he was the one who was like, when I said maybe I should, he was like, nah, you got to do it. You got to do it. I was like, all right, I guess I'll do it. And I leaned into it ever since.
I watched this documentary not too long ago on Rooster Teeth's channel, Waiting for the Punchline, and it follows one of the guys that works for Kind of Funny, who I guess there's sort of owned or partners with Rooster Teeth or something like that. But basically, this guy works for Kind of Funny. They do a lot of gaming content. They talk about like game stuff and everything, and they do a ton of podcasts and stuff. But like on the side, he does like Krav Maga, and then he also does stand up. And he wanted to be like a stand up comedian and stuff. And the documentary just followed him like the whole entire time, like trying to make it into stand up and everything to like where he is right now. And it's just like, holy fuck, man. It's just like music too. You know what I mean? Like it's, you're out there, you're hustling, you know, this guy was doing like 3 or 4 different spots a night, you know what I mean? Barely seeing his wife, just trying to play for like, or, you know, talk for like 5-10 minutes, if that. And some jokes wouldn't land at certain clubs, another place, you know, he get a couple laughs. But like at the end of the documentary, he was trying to land at this one club called the Punchline, and he finally did. And throughout the credit scene, like they play out his set through that and everything like that. But just like you see like his struggle and like, why am I doing this? You know, like chasing this dream and everything like that. Is it even going to work for me? You know, I barely see my wife and I'm working, you know, 10 hours a day. And then I do this at night, you know, like it's a hustle, you know what I mean? Like with everything in life too, you know, whether it's music or art or anything like that, you know, you want to work towards your dreams or something like that. It's always going to be a hustle and it's always going to be a grind, and, you know, it's never going to be easy. So I give you all the props in the world, man. Like that's getting up on stage in front of people is nerve wracking as it is. And, you know, to be able to find that courage to like, you know, push through it and then just nail that joke. Like you said, like, I fucking hate old people. And if I was in the audience, I'd be like, oh shit. You know what I mean? But like, that's awesome, man. Like, good for you, you know? Who are your, you said Bill Burr is definitely one of your favorites, but I mean, like, who are some of your favorite stand-up comedians that you're inspired from?
Inspired, so there's a difference for me. There are stand-up comedians that I love,
or inspired or whatever.
Yeah, stand-up comedians that that I've taken from.
Are you a Richard Pryor fan?
And
that's like everyone's
what's wild is, coworker bought this for me, so she said you should definitely listen to. So I haven't.
For my audio listeners, he's holding up a Richard Pryor DVD.
You can see like it's like peeling back and whatnot. You know, I haven't opened it yet, but yes, I need to watch that. Richard Pryor. The thing is, I won't say I was directly influenced by Richard Pryor.
Okay.
But we all know one of the comedians I'm going to say because of, you know, the era that we're from, you know, the years that we were involved in comedy. So always going to reference Dave Chappelle because.
Oh, yeah.
And I say this to people all the time. Yeah, Dave might have said some shit that I don't agree with, whatever. You know, he's a little weird.
Are you talking about the Hartford incident that he apologized for?
Not even that. I'm talking about like some of the LGBTQIA stuff.
Oh,
I've
I didn't
got,
know about any of that.
yeah, one of my closest friends, Sophia, is part of that community, and she has helped me as a human individual, as a stand-up comedian.
Mm-hmm.
She's one half of a lot of the work that I've done lately. She has helped me do so much. She's always down to, like, whenever a show idea pops up or anything, like, she's like, Kevin, what are you doing? You want to do this? You got this time free? You want to go up to Massachusetts? I'm like, I guess. Like, she's always in the middle of her grind, and she's always asking me if I want to get stuff done. So, so when he said what he said, like, it was kind of hurtful, because it's like, I wouldn't be doing what I was doing. Like, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I did with this if it wasn't for her. So that kind of, like, made me kind of sad. But
yeah.
But on top of that, though, but Chappelle has definitely influenced a lot of my comedic everything. Timing, understanding, joke, like, everything. And I'll never be as good as Dave. I will say that 1,000 times over. If you told me about a show and you told me, yo, in 2 months, in August, we need you to have like a 10-minute set, right? And I have 2 months to write a 10-minute set. And then, like, randomly 2 days before, like, you're looking at Dave Chappelle and you're like, you want to do this set? It's like a half hour. Dave Chappelle's random half hour would be better than my 10-minute set, hands down. I'm never going to say that it wouldn't. Like, there's just no way. I hope to get there one day, but right now I can tell you it's not going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
But Chappelle. Patrice O'Neal's another stand-up comedian that I love. I think that he's hilarious.
R.I.P.
I think that a lot of what he's done, the problem is that it didn't age well. Kind of the way Eddie Murphy stuff didn't age well. Like, it's funny, like, don't get it twisted.
He's looking to get back into stand-up.
I hope he does, because Eddie Murphy is phenomenal too.
He said he's really nervous about getting back into stand-up because of how the times have changed and everything too, and he's just, like, really nervous. Like, I'm just afraid of what I might say wrong or stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because I've listened to some interviews, and I'm like, I would love to see Eddie Murphy return to the stage and do more stand-up. Yep. But yeah, no, you go ahead.
But I think the bucket is this: stand-up comedians that I love, the Lucas brothers, Eddie Murphy, John Mulaney.
John Mulaney is hilarious.
Love John Mulaney. Love John. I think John Mulaney's so funny.
You don't know who John Mulaney is? He was the voice of Spider-Pig in the Spider-Verse movie.
John Mulaney has one of the best jokes ever. If you ever get a chance to listen to John Mulaney, go listen to New in Town by John Mulaney. There's a joke where at one point he says, as so much Steve Urkel. That is the greatest joke ever, because the way that joke is, like, written, depending on how well, like, how quick you get the joke, depends on when you get the payoff. And so, like, you get a bigger payoff if you get the joke quicker, if you're able to deduce the joke or the punchline quicker than those people who don't understand where he's, like, I can't explain it. I'm, like, kind of going all over the place here, but that's a phenomenal joke. But John Mulaney, I want to write jokes as well as John Mulaney. Like, I want to write jokes as well as John Mulaney.
They're so like smart and, like, really stretched out to like I don't think I've ever heard him like, I know he swears, but I mean, like, he likes to keep his humor, like, very clean.
Yes.
But like, there's, like, a bit of dirtiness to it too. And it's very smart and well written. And I'm like, this dude is hilarious.
Yes. 100%. But the comedians that I think I model myself after are Michael Che. Some of you may know Michael Che from Saturday Night Live, Weekend Update, Hannibal Buress, and Bill Burr. Those are the three comedians that, like, I listen to their stuff, and they're the ones that kind of, Michael Che, just for his crassness, Hannibal Buress, because he's a black man that'll randomly hit you with, like, an SAT word, but then also, like, rein it back and say something really hood. And Bill Burr, because of just the level of, like, annoyance and anger and stuff like that. So those three are the comedians. Like, the other comedians I love and I think are hilarious and phenomenal, but my style is the three of them wrapped up in a ball. And, like, those three comedians. And if I knew about this question a little bit beforehand, I'd have so many more for you, but it's
all good.
I just can't. Like, there's just so many comedians that I think are hilarious and phenomenal. There's women that I'd like to mention. There's, other Latino and Black comedians that I like to mention. And so I don't like to exclude, especially with what's going on right now, but
we're going to get into that.
Being put on the spot for this question, I will say that there's those comedians that I love, but those three comedians are the ones that those are three guys that I want to sound like down the road.
Are you a fan of a show, F is for Family?
It's hard, man, because I love it. It's really funny, but it's not one of those things you can just watch.
No.
Like, I can't throw F is for Family on in the background. I'm playing video games on my computer and be like,
no.
Oh, okay. Like, it's something I have to kind of like pay attention to, because it's like, it's funny, but it's still a lot to some extent.
Oh, the new season's coming out soon, just an FYI. Yeah. So, but yeah, getting into, what you were just talking about, we dipped a little bit on last episode with my friend Doug Lennington with what happened with George Floyd and the protesting and everything like that. Now an update, not only was that one officer arrested and charged with murder, the other officers that were involved have all been arrested and charged as well. For the most part, there's been a lot of peaceful protesting that has been going on, especially in Connecticut. From what I've been seeing, there's been a lot of peaceful protesting. And I've removed a lot of friends on Facebook that have said otherwise, or have had views that I don't agree with and I don't care to read about. That's just me. Like, I know we should be educating more people on the matter, but there's only so much that you can tell a person, and try to educate them a little bit without, their arrogance getting in the way and just them just not caring anymore. So like those kinds of people, like I don't want to associate with anymore. But like, coming from you as an African American, what are your thoughts about everything that's going on right now? Are we taking the steps in the right direction? Hopefully. I know this has been going on for a long time, and I understand my privilege as a white man that I will never understand fully what your race has gone through throughout history and throughout the years and stuff like that too. But I definitely support you as a friend. We've been friends for years, and I definitely support the African American community. What are your thoughts about everything going on right now?
Okay, so before we continue, question: am I allowed to bring up your kinfolk? Because I don't want to say anything about your kin. And you don't want me to say anything about that.
Oh, you want to talk my niece and my nephew?
Exactly.
Yeah, you can talk about them.
So look,
just nothing bad, please. Like,
no, of course not. But I know that the thing is, like, I know how much you love your niece and your nephew.
My niece, for my listeners, my niece and my nephew are half Dominican. My sister is married to a Dominican man, and he is very respectful person. He works very hard, and so does my sister, and they both provide for their two kids. And my nephew and my niece are amazing. They're both different age groups. Like, my nephew's in high school, my niece is about to be in 4th grade, but they're both.
Damn, Jay's in high school? Shit.
Yeah, he's in high school, man.
Jesus. Shit.
Yep. He's a sophomore now. Can you believe it?
No, God, no. I remember the last time I saw him, he was like this big old ears and matted hair. Like,
the kid's a smart. He's a smart kid, man. Like,
I believe it.
He's definitely got a lot of empathy, and he believes in respect and kindness and stuff like that too. But man, he is definitely a lady killer, man. He is a good looking kid, man. Like, I feel bad.
But that's what I mean. Like, listen to the way that you're talking about your nephew. It's not within the concept of color or anything like that. Like, you're speaking to the regard of, like, he's a good kid. He's smart. He's getting the ladies. Like, you're talking about a teenager the way any other person would talk about a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
When you love him. And I know that to some extent, you have to sit there and think, like, what's going to happen when he gets his license and he gets pulled over by a cop. And, so I'm not going to, you don't have to sit there and act like you're completely removed from this, because children that you love are minorities. And it's not just,
I just don't want to say anything out of context. And, for you to acknowledge, my niece and my nephew and, say all those things, I do appreciate that. But at the same time, I don't want to overstep my boundaries and say something wrong. That might, the only people I want to offend are those racist fucks that I don't want listeners. You know what I mean? Like I said at the beginning of my last episode, if you believe in hate like that and you're racist, this is not the podcast for you.
Yeah.
My podcast will always be a platform for anyone, no matter what race, color, sexuality, whatever. You know, this is a podcast about getting to know people better and giving them a platform to speak on and talk about their lives and mental health and their experiences and their joys and stuff like that too. So then, you know, that's basically it. So, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. What I'm saying is like, so we don't need you to act, you know, super apologetic, you know, apologize for everything else. Cause
I'm also Canadian too. So saying sorry a lot is a part of my culture. So.
Well, all I'm saying is that, you know, you're fine because you are someone that I know, you know, has a big heart in that regard. And I've explained this. This is one thing that I've explained to somebody recently because you went to school in Waterbury. Mm-hmm. So I know that you were bullied by kids that look like me.
Oh, yeah.
And instead of allowing that to change your opinion of all black people, you know, you were still able to take that in the sense of like, well, those guys are bad guys, but they're still good guys amongst all people. But with everything that's happening right now, it's just, it's hard to like needle down. Like, it's hard to like say like, I have this one opinion of it because I'm proud of a lot of stuff. You know, one of my closest cousins, I grew up with this kid that was a cop. You know, I remember when I was, again, being from a culture that's not completely American, I have a cousin that moved to America from, I don't want to blow up a spot, but he moved to America from Italy. And when he moved to America, he's as dark as me. And like, not in a weird way, but I fell in love with this cousin almost immediately. We had a lot of the same likes, anime, wrestling and stuff like that. And he's been a cop for a few years. But as you know, Waterbury cops are, for the most part, overall, I will say overall, aren't bad cops. I've met a lot of great cops in Waterbury.
I can admit to that too, because my brother is pretty much friends with most of the Waterbury cops, and my brother is a made man. And it doesn't matter where I fucking go in Waterbury. The moment my last name is brought up, like, oh, is your brother Tom? And I'm like, fuck, yeah.
And I'm not, you know, and I'm not absolving all Waterbury cops because you still have your bad apples. But for the most part, Waterbury cops aren't the worst. Like, I tell people all the time, if I got to get arrested in any city, I want to get arrested in Waterbury. That's where I want to have cuffs slapped on me in Waterbury because I know I'm not going to get treated super unfairly. Now, there was an instance, I think, recently where there was something on the news about a Waterbury cop. I didn't look into it and watch it yet, but it was something that somebody posted. Again, you're still going to have your bad apples. You're still going to have your people that kind of like harbor a lot of hate and carry a lot of baggage. But with everything that's happening right now, I'm proud of, I'm not happy, you know, because this has been going on for 400 years at this point, and I'm not happy that we still have to fight this fight, and I still have to feel like a foreigner in my own country, because while my mother's half is from Africa, my dad's half is from North Carolina. You know, my dad's half, I found out that my grandfather's grandfather was the first free member of our family. You know, and I've learned a lot about my family. His name was Louis Freeman, and I've learned that, you know, there's still slavery. You know, there was slavery in my family and stuff like that. So it's not ideal, and I wish that I was respected as a member of this country by all that live in this country. But I can say that I'm proud of the people. There are people that I never expected to be on my side. I'll turn Facebook on or I'll open up my phone and I'll look through social media, and there's times where I like see somebody write something, I'm like, gone. Like, I'm not gone. And I don't have I have no problem erasing people from my life. You know, full disclosure, my mom passed away. So the one person I thought would be a constant in my family or in my life until, you know, I had kids and got married and got old has been gone for 5 years. So for me, when I'm scrolling through Facebook and somebody's like, all lives matter, I'm like, bye. Like, and no one's saying that all lives don't matter. And I just want to
all lives won't matter until Black Lives Matter.
Thank you. And that's what we're all saying. We're saying, and somebody said it best, there's a silent word after it. If you can say the word lasagna and exclude the G, then you could understand the idea that all Black lives matter also. Black lives matter as well. That's all we're saying. We matter too. So, but I'm seeing a lot of my friends that I didn't think would support us. People who had only met a few months ago, and people that I didn't really speak with, who are saying, like Black Lives Matter. Like, we get to all lives matter, but Black Lives Matter right now. We got to talk about Black lives. And I've seen a lot of people like say that. But then at the same time, I've seen people that I've been friends with for years, decades, say things like, well, I get it, but they murdered a cop and all lives matter. And I'm like,
it's because they're not educated enough, and I don't want to try to defend people that are arrogant and or ignorant and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, if you're not open to being, having a civil discussion with someone like you know what I mean, that is on the other side of the fence and trying to open their eyes a little bit. If you're too arrogant to understand their side of the story, then it's their loss. You know what I mean? Because when I talk to you and I see you as a brother. I don't see you as a different color. I don't see you as a different race. I see my friend and I see my brother, someone that I grew up with and who's always there for me. I don't see, that you're black or anything like that. You know what I mean? I just see. And
well, let me say this.
Go ahead. Yep.
I just want to say this.
Yep.
See color and see culture. Because at the end of the day, you like tacos?
I fucking love tacos. A little too much.
So, yeah. So if you like tacos, if you like the culture and what the color of brown skin brings, don't not see that color.
Yeah.
See that color and appreciate it and love it, because we bring different things to the table.
Mm-hmm.
People talk all the time about how much they love barbecue. Fun fact about barbecue, that's a lot of that is slave food. Like, it was pieces of the animal that, weren't salvageable, that were given to slaves to just cook and figure it out. And Southern food and barbecue were a part of that.
I did not know that.
It's like chicken, a lot of chicken, especially fried chicken, was birthed because chickens are like, fun fact, if you've ever lived on a farm, chickens are like rats. You don't have to do anything to have chickens. If you notice, they will separate chickens and roosters to have eggs for breakfast. The moment they let the rooster into the pen, they'll have nothing but fertilized eggs, because chickens are like, they populate like vermin, which is fine. But it was easy to give blacks, to give slaves chicken, because it was like, here you go, we've got like 50 of these things, so we don't need all of them. All I'm saying is, appreciate other cultures. I like Thai food. I like Indian food.
Mm-hmm.
I like Mexican. I like everything. I love food. I love anime. I love, African music. I love so much stuff. Don't not see color. Seeing color is important because it helps us understand different cultures, appreciate those cultures, appreciate what those cultures bring. So
Gotcha.
I understand 100% the sentiment and the love and affection and appreciation behind the idea of, I don't see color, but we shouldn't want that. We shouldn't want to eradicate or erase color, because with color comes culture. We should want to appreciate one another for the culture and for the things that we bring to the table. That's just the only reason I cut you off, is just
no. Please, correct me, and I see your point and I appreciate that, and I respect that a lot. So thank you. Definitely. Was there anything else you wanted to add on that, or before we move on to plugs?
Just love each other, man. I think that it's important that we love one another. My family, you see my family, none of us look alike. My grandmother's white. We're from the same, that's my blood grandmother. My mom is caramel skin, and my uncle Elder is almost as pale as you. And they're brothers, their brother and sister, 100% same. Both parents are the same. So it's really weird to me that people can't see past skin tone, because skin tone doesn't even dictate family. And I think that it's very important that we love one another, because, the more love that we have as a people, the more that we appreciate one another, and we come together and we hug, we love, and we, do all of those things. I just think the better time that we have on this planet, the better experience that we have, and the more help that we can afford one another. Because if I have 2 working kidneys and a friend of mine came up to me and he's white and he told me that his mother's kidney is failing and I was a match, I wouldn't hesitate to give her my kidney, because I don't want to see her suffer. I don't want to see her son sad because his mother could have been saved had I not been selfish. And I think that's super important. So the only thing I want to say is, of all things, it doesn't matter how you feel, don't say all lives matter on social media. Just don't say that. Just don't. If you truly do love and appreciate and respect your Black friends, don't say that, because that just feels like you're taking away from us. But all we're asking is that you just love. That's it. You love, you hug, you kiss, all that stuff. Just
you
love.
Listen and you understand,
mm-hmm.
and learn and educate yourselves too. So, and be open to thinking differently too. You know what I mean? It's not just you don't have to think the way that you're thinking right now. Be open to different opinions and mentalities. You know what I mean? Because it could definitely change your perspective on things. Like I said something last week, and my buddy made me open up to a different way. I was like, I was all for the peaceful protesting, but I wasn't for the rioting and the looting. And he was like, well, there's only so much that you can peacefully protest and be ignored for. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right. I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so sick of seeing violence, and I'm sick of seeing racism. And I know we're a long ways away from abolishing any of that. You know what I mean? But for me to actually learn something like that and be like, okay, I get it. I understand. Even though I fully don't understand, with my privilege and everything, I'm never going to fully understand. But to just, listen to somebody else's opinion and just get a little bit more educated. I'm like, I get it. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I came off right or anything, but you know what I'm trying to say. You're very quiet.
No, I'm also trying to get a couple of links here.
Yeah, a couple links. Oh, you're working on your plugs?
Yeah. I didn't even think to have them ready, so that's all. That's on me. I might not have them. I might have to send you the links afterward. You can, toss them in the description later.
That's fine. I think that's going to do it. Is there anything you want to close on before we get into plugs, or, any final messages you want to get across?
Nah, man. Just like I said, just love each other. It sucks that we all have to be stuck on this rock, and, we're allowing the wealthy to destroy it. But at this point, we have to come together and really love one another and realize that, while
we're all in this together.
Yeah. While they're able to live these lavish lifestyles of living on boats and stuff like that, it's costing us in the long run for ourselves and our family. So we have to love each other and come together and really combat a lot of injustices right now.
I fully agree. I think that's going to do it. Kev, where can people find you?
Right now I haven't started my own. I'm just such a lazy person overall. But Kevin Jones the second, and the second is spelled with 2 I's. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you know what? In the next week, I will probably be starting my official comedy pages. So right now, if you follow me on Facebook, Kevin Jones the second, spelled with spelled the Roman numerals, which is just 2 I's. You can find me there. I've also have 2 projects that I'm working on steadily. I have a draft that we do every week. It's me and a couple of friends doing the draft of stuff that we like. We've done superheroes, wrestlers, restaurants, food, whatever we can think of. We do a draft with the 4 of us, pick what we want. And then again, with my friend Sophia, we're working on every week we do movie riffs. We just beat up on old horror movies, and those have been kind of funny. But right now I just haven't, with everything that's happening, right when I was really hitting the ground running, and I was like, oh, I got to sort all my stuff. All this happened. We've been grounded for 2 months, so I haven't really started all the pages that I want to start. But you know what? This is kind of lit a fire under my ass, so I will probably be doing that within the next couple of weeks. So if you're looking for me, I would find me on Facebook, Kevin Jones II, and then I will send you the links to everything else as I establish them, and then you can update them.
Cool. I'll leave a link in the description where people can find you. As for me, you can follow the show on YouTube, which is probably where you're watching this video right now. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified every time we drop a video. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Roads We've Traveled Podcast. Get updated on whenever we drop a new episode, and tell your friends. Also listen to us on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Make sure to subscribe, leave a rating and a review. And if you leave a review, I'll be sure to read it on the air. And you can also email us at roadswe'vetraveledpodcast@gmail.com. If you guys want to send us a story, or questions for guests or anything like that you want answered, or if you got a story of, your struggles as well through, this crazy thing that we call life, if you want it read on the air, I'll be happy to read it. You can check me out at twitch.tv/JRBuckleGaming. I just put up a Final Fantasy VII video yesterday, and we got some Jackbox party games up there. And if you want to check out my portfolio at www.alanmpelletierjr.com, you can check out my artwork, my video work, all that great stuff. Hit me up for commission work if you're interested. The new Crossing Rubicon lyric video is out now, so check that out. It's called I Will Remain. And yeah, that's about it. Kevin, Macho Man Randy Savage over here.
Yeah.
What do you say? The cream rises to the top. Like
rises to the top. Rises to the top. Yeah.
I love this cameo in Spider-Man. I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Oh, sauce ready. Oh my God! I love the Macho Man, favorite wrestler of all time.
Oh, rest in peace, Macho Man. Kevin, thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Be sure to check out Kevin on Facebook and follow him and support him in all his
like I said,
stand-up comedy endeavors, man.
I will send you all the links probably before the end of this week, but I'm gonna start like all my stuff. So
awesome, sounds good, man. All right, brother.
Have a good one, man. Thank you.